And the Arcane Bear, excited to be here again with you today. Another deep dive and cursory look at the crypto sector. We like to go over, constantly study, and take a focus on technical analysis in these markets because, as on any path to mastery, there is no end to the learning process. We like to keep up to date with everything that's going on, volume, architecture, and the specifics of each of these tokens that we are interested in. And Bitcoin is our leader of the sector. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is drop in and take a look at our trading view. There we have it. Bitcoin on the 4-hour. We've been watching this chart here for, what are we here now? Almost 45 days since the primary support. Yeah, 42 days. Look at that. Just a bit under. Nice kind of finalization into this backup phase. Now, we've been finding resistance at the top, well, very clearly where I actually have resistance and support written. So I'll actually go ahead, we'll open this up a little bit, make a little bit of a clearer conjecture. Boom, there's our support line. And our resistance line is actually probably closer to the top of the range here. We might even be able to say that this is the buying climax that we just witnessed here as well. Generally, these last parts of the SOS phase are extremely important because they represent the kind of finality of the supply range that we're looking for. And it's usually thin too, which is nice for anyone who wants to build more exotic positions. It usually gives you a chance to kind of operate between this really nice thin line. So we went through our buying climax, our first shakeout, primarily. If we go over this again, we started at our primary support, our buying climax, our shakeout, our first automatic rally, our secondary test, and our spring. And if you notice, look at the signature that came after the spring and the amount of volume or price spread that came out here. So again, we're looking at effort versus result. So here, the effort is the supply and the result is the price spread. And if you note here, look at the bottom, we have a less supply coming in, but a much higher spread. This is a big sign of the key SOS phase. And you have every step along the way here, declining supply coming into the market, again, with the rising price. Ultimately, I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin. I believe we're going to $100,000 quite easily here. If we drop in and take a look at the Glassnode studio that we like to log into, this stock to flow model here has us nominally averaging out for Bitcoin around the $107,000 to $110,000 area. Now, what's important to note, I've gone over this once or twice before, is that the stock to flow model is based off the demand signature. So without demand, this doesn't work at all. But seeing as we have this continual growing demand and interest from institutions for this new and budding asset class, the $100,000 mark represents the average cost for the miners to produce the Bitcoin over the next 2 to 3 years of its market cycle. This is really important to keep an eye on as the next moves through the market are highly emphasized once we get out past that nominal range, and then we come back often and close below it most of the time. So if we look back here in 2018, once we got to the nominal price of around $6,000 Bitcoin, we actually ended up jetting a lot higher through that price cycle. So here you can see, let's move it a bit over this way instead. Focus on 2017. Yeah, there we go. So see, once we broke past this nominal $4,000 to $6,000 number, we started to see exponential growth, and Bitcoin hopped from $6,000 to $20,000 quite quickly. I think what we're looking at here is something very similar to Bitcoin jumping from $6,000 upwards of 20,000, from 60 grand upwards of potentially 200,000. And on the stock to flow model, you can see as we zoom in again on the area of time we're in right now, we have not yet met the basically interstitial or the median range for Bitcoin's price as we move forward. So this is extremely important to keep an eye on, recognizing that, again, this is basically the cost to produce the Bitcoin. So you're going to see a big spike up, an overdramatic pressure build through the cycle as very few Bitcoins are basically sold to get that price that high. And then as the bigger demand character comes in, changes everything. Now, we'd gone over this in our previous videos, but I wanted to highlight it again one more time. Primarily noting the multiple year accumulation cycle that we were in to get to this point. So for those of you that are new to studying, you'll recognize that markets are often brought up in two areas. So we have the accumulation range, which is at the bottom. You jet up, and then you have a distribution range. So in 2017, this was the buying climax that eventually ended up in distribution for multiple months after that buying climax, with a quick a selling climax settling around $3,000. And our spring here on the 11th of March, when the WHO declared the pandemic, also hit this general selling climax price target. Massive amount of supply coming in at each of these character turns, and massive amounts of volume price moving through that structure onwards and outwards. So one of the things we want to do here is constantly remember where we are in the market cycle. And one of the key areas where we are in the market cycle right now is effectively having broken out of the original trading range at around $12,000, executing well above these regression line now. We're just starting to get into the area where exponential growth and blue sky moments come with very little effort from the rest of the ecosystem. As you can see here at the bottom, both of our volume signatures are not all that high. And more importantly, if you take a look back here, when we were running through 2017, the nominal price, again related to the stock to flow model, running around this $6,000 area, is where the miners tried to keep the price up multiple times through their selling as they produced new stock, based off the fact that this is their regular operating cost. Kind of functioned right along here as well, and provided a general basis for the bottom of our previous trading range. So when we're going through and we're doing analysis, these things are all extremely important to keep an eye on. And again, we want to constantly be focusing on as many areas of the larger macro perspective in each of these trading ranges. That way, when we get this high up, we know why we're still confident, even though we're this high up. So for those of you that were with us and joined last month in the private group, etc., when we were at $31,000, I was kind of screaming at everyone back here, don't worry about distribution, guys. Where the trend is bullish, you can ignore pretty much everybody else here. And this nice close above the POC in this new trading range that we formed was an extremely bullish moment right around the $33,000 area. So this was kind of the last value buy in this section, as when Bitcoin goes up to $300,000, it may come back, retrace, and test this area as well, although I do suspect we don't come back down as low, as hard, as abrupt as we did in 2017. There's just bigger interest here, and the buying pressure on the CME side will use it to play effectively, but it will also use it to its advantage, just like we're seeing now. So as we roll into Ethereum here and take a look at our chart, we can see an interesting kind of rollover, what's likely going to be the kind of bottom part of our backup phase. So much like Bitcoin that we were looking at just previously, it does appear that we are going to get an intermediary moment where our primary support has a shakeout, touches this 1560 area, and then we get a nice reaccumulation pattern as the finality of our backup after the SOS out of this previous trading range that we were in here. So I really want to keep this in mind, because what we're witnessing right now is literally designed to scare people away. Everyone who's worried about their price targets are so new to trading that they don't know. Most of the people that get over emotional are the people that manage very small amounts of money. You can almost tell how much capital someone's managing by their comments in the YouTube page to some degree, because the most emotional, the ones who are the most worried about, oh my God, what's happening in the markets, generally manage the least amount of money. The people who are managing more capital are quite patient with any of the positions that they take, because they have a much more broad perspective in the macro. That's why we start at those much bigger frames and look for that much bigger price target, because anything else that we get here will kind of wash out in the way. So you should be focused entirely on your educational process if you sound like you manage small amounts of money, or if you leave extremely emotional comments in the YouTube page. It probably means you should focus on meditating and then becoming a better investor by increasing your education at that point as well. So link here, very nice vertical character change here since the spring so far. Everything's looking good. We can see we had a lot of drawdown and multiple tokens across the board. Nothing, in my opinion, to be worried about. I've stayed constant in my focus here. Even with Cardano, you see these new bigger trading ranges starting to form here around 30%. And I think with the entire DeFi sector, actually, if we go ahead here, Marlon, por favor no sonida, arriba, compromiso. Gracias. So I wanted to go over really quickly the DeFi perpetuals. This is a nice way to kind of measure a basket of ideas. Now, primarily, look how we're holding above the top of the megaphone. A big part of everyone's question, I'm sure, is, well, are we going to see distribution in this? Are we going to end up breaking down? Our previous trading range for the DeFi sector, we were charting back here. Shout out to Rasher for that one. We've seen 100% gain. So it's very likely right now that what we're witnessing is likely a new trading range that will form through this Livermore extension pattern. So if we drop some of this down, clean up the chart, get rid of any of the momentum indicators, which are mostly useless in my opinion, we can drop our support and resistance lines and kind of focus on this area here. This to me appears to be what's going to be a new trading range. So I do suspect that we've seen our buying climax and our primary support already start to form, and we see this everywhere. Cardano, Avalanche, Link, we're just likely going to form one more final backup phase here. And it may be that Bitcoin kind of steals the show for the minute, but even still, if you look at where Bitcoin's sitting, it's still in a position where you're likely going to have a retracement to $43,000 and build this backup phase for the finality, especially with how much volatility we had in the trading range for Bitcoin here. It's very likely that this backup trading range is going to be quite volatile as well. So I do suspect we get a return to 43,000, and we've seen that in these other plays too. Like look at the wicks down here for Cardano, for Link, even for Ethereum. We're starting to see that rollover out of the SOS, probably back down to the bottom of the trading range, which is effectively $1,560. Avalanche, very clearly the same thing, although we have broken above the trend line. Looks normal to me. Everything seems to be following a really nice assessment of a new trading range. I kind of had to restart the computer right before this, so I had to kind of reload everything, guys. We'll want to keep an eye on this entire sector, though. Again, even with Aave here, one of our big players, after it had its finale, this nice breakout, this new trading range that's forming looks very similar to Bitcoin for me. And you can see these wicks are being chewed up quite quickly. So even though a massive amount of supply coming into the market, it gets bought up and right back to this value zone almost immediately here as well. So it's very, very quickly recovering these prices every time it steps forward. We'll take a look at GRT to kind of add a finale to today's show. I think I'm going to do a live stream tonight that's significantly longer, and maybe just do like a marathon hangout session. Maybe we'll do that once every Tuesday for fun. GRT is also looking like it's forming this new accumulation range. We've had a great breakout since we sent out our private PDFs. The SOS, we had a huge move out of this box, somewhere culminating around 250% within a few weeks of that trade, or of those educational PDFs. So again, what we want to do is we go into these shorter time frames, and we can see that it's very likely that they're all forming these new styles of trading range. So I suspect we're going to have a lot of consolidation in the DeFi sector, and we can see it very specifically just by looking at the DeFi perpetuals. We can kind of get a basket overview of a lot of our plays: GRT, Aave, Band, KNC, Avalanche. I don't think Cardano fits in there, but you can see a very high similarity or high level of correlation between each of these market cycles. So it's really, really important, guys. The disease of the new investor is really lack of education and over emotional trading. One of the best ways to cure that is by creating a healthy environment where you can learn. That way, when you walk outside to go enjoy the rest of your day, your education can basically walk in and take over your portfolio. So if you like trying new things and you find yourself to be adventurous, why don't you go to arcanebear.com/private and join our private group where we have over 800 members constantly working and growing together. We produce PDFs once a week. We do private webinars. We do actually a lot of stuff, probably not even worth naming it all. You can find that all on arcanebear.com/private. We are going to be raising the price very shortly as well, too. So if you guys are interested, get no discounts, but you can get this week's price, as we're probably going to raise it. We've just seen enormous growth, and we want to stay focused on people who are actively interested in managing a portfolio and have skin in the game to do so. So yeah, we'll be raising the price. So jump in there. Why not? Might as well get yourself grandfathered into the old price ranges. So anyone that does sign up will get that price for life as long as they stay signed up. That's basically the end of today's show. I don't want to go too in-depth anything. I think I'm going to do a live stream. Everything still looks really good to me. But again, guys, do your own homework, do your own research, do your own study. There's an enormous amount of quality free PDFs that you can find on the internet, audiobooks you can find from YouTube. Spend a lot of your time studying, because it will really help you quell those emotions as well and count time by the pages that you read. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. I'm going to spend just a few minutes kind of quickly going through people's questions. Probably not going to look at any charts at the moment for the finality of today's show, but I think I'll be back tonight with a live stream. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit that little notification bell. Also, if you want, give us the thumbs up, because it helps other people find this content. And we'll be live one time every day for the rest of the year. Personal goal of mine is to go live every day. Yeah, that's right. I have some weird goals in life, but that happens to be one of them. So join us this evening when we go over that as well. So let's take a look here. Nice, just taking a look at some of your guys' questions. 8 Limb says Tether will make crypto collapse. That is absolutely totally an invalid response. This is some of the FUD I've seen put out around the internet. Generally, this group of people doesn't understand that there's no reason. It doesn't make any difference. Tether's not backed by anything, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, neither is the fucking US dollar, simple shit-minded person. So why would it matter that the Tether is not backed by anything either? The idea of having any stable coin brings risk into our ecosystem, but how do you exist without it? It's a very valid question. I don't think you've factored that in. So the Tether talk has been that way. I agree with your... Janet Yellen, not the real name, not the real Janet Yellen, saying Tether talk and FUD has been here since 2017, has never made a difference. Yeah, I agree, because they can just print US dollars. So who gives a shit if Tether is backed by anything or not? It makes absolutely zero sense to really, if you just break in there a little bit. Crypto Gizmo says Kevin Svensson, Arcane Bear, and Jim of All Trades are the top 3 crypto YouTubers. Well, thanks for that. I appreciate that. Kevin says, very good work, sir. I appreciate it. Let's see here. How does the private group work? Well, that's for you to find out, I guess. Don't need any looky-loos. It's up to you. We do well no matter what you choose to do. What is the order book breakout indicator on the right margin call? That is a point of control. It is part of the TradingView premium subscription. So if you go to arcanebear.com/TradingView, you sign up, you'll get a discount following our links there. Yeah, just more Tether FUD, guys. You can pretty much ignore those sentiments. None of it's backed by anything. That's one of the most interesting parts about currency. It's all a giant cultural mimetic hallucination. I think that's why Elon Musk was so tangentially pointing out Doge as an interest for a better currency than the US dollar, because at least it's a set inflation rate that we can all rely on. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin scams going on in South Africa? No different than Bitcoin scams going on in any country. Be aware that wherever there's monetary value, people are going to try to look to take advantage of you. So be diligent with that. Know that the last thing you want to do is be separated from your capital. So don't click on any unknown links. Don't respond to any unknown emails. And even double check when you get emails that look like from a company that's wanting to access your stuff. Just don't do it. You'll be much safer that way. You can go wait your turn if you want. If you've got questions, just call the damn company if that happens to be the case. But don't click on any links. Follow any weird spammy emails. Just skip all that. There's only a few ways to play this game, and it's don't get burnt. This oven can be hot, and it's dealing in the financial sector. So you want to be extra careful when you're doing pretty much anything here. Again, it's funny to see people like Jake Puapolo says, dollar showing some strength. I feel like dump is coming soon. I feel like a dump is coming soon. First off, any professional trader worth their salt doesn't usually talk about dumps. We talk about distribution and accumulation. A dump is a very much so, let's say, a retail trader mindset, usually indicating that they can't handle the movement and don't know how to take care of the fact that this is an area for accumulation when prices come down, and it's just called a supply test or a shakeout. Shakeout's actually a nice way to call it, because it usually gets rid of people like Jake Puapo. But yeah, these small interstitial breaks, like even if Bitcoin comes to 43,000, we're already have been accounting for that for a week and a half now. So you may think that the dump is coming soon, but we already know something's going to happen that tests the bottom of this trading range most likely. Now, if it doesn't, if we get above resistance, well, that's a whole different story, but it's very common that this type of reaccumulation pattern will come back all the way down to 42 to 43,000 before going for an absolute breakout. If you knew the tech behind leverage trading is a way to play and learn, don't play with leverage, Kevin. If you're new, you're going to fail that one miserably, most likely. The best thing you can do is just learn how to accumulate, which is acquiring more assets in your lifetime. I know it's really sad that these big YouTubers shill leverage like it's an easy way for you to make money, but they're making money off of your failures, and it's kind of disgusting, actually, especially because they just shill it all the time with no thought to how many people lose money playing with leverage when you should be ultimately extremely successful in a bull market by doing nothing but buying. It's kind of sad, actually. Don't do that. I mean, if you want to, go and play with 20 bucks, like fuck around and learn something new. But for all means, if you're new to trading, you're just going to lose money chasing the leverage train. Those are for like very skilled traders. Yeah, well, and this is an interesting one too, the idea about big money holding Bitcoin for years. Well, look, the trash dumps of the world have been holding Bitcoin for years too. So a big part of the conversation is around where's the liquid supply? And the trash dumps of the world are the biggest Bitcoin holders on the planet. They have over 4 million. They have only 4 million Bitcoin stored in their deep cold storage. So it's not just big money, it's about the liquidity supply as well. So the garbage dumps are doing a great job of keeping our price high right now. If the garbage dump were to figure out how to liquidate all of Bitcoin, the price would drop dramatically. You know, guys, too, this is one of the weird moments in history where I think we may see a market melt up. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to jump off for the rest of this afternoon. Guys, we'll be live again this evening. If you like this channel, give us a thumbs up, share the content. Let the video play like 8 times through so we can try to catch up for views on all the big YouTubers. No, just kidding. I have a great time. I'm very grateful for the community that we've built here at the Arcane Bear family. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will be here again live this evening, probably around 7 to 9 p.m. I'm going to do a marathon stream tonight. We may even allow it so some of our private members can come in on the stream and ask vocal questions, or at least you'll be able to ask questions in the background as well. So we'll go from there. I'm really excited to see you guys here just in this evening time. So we'll drop in again in a few hours. Ciao.